Hi Martin, I'm giving you some feedback here in this video on your second task about air power in coin operations. So first of all, generally speaking, looking at your language, it's fluent and correct. So at the local level, there are a lot of things that are working really well for you. There's one thing I do notice, is that you do have some errors in subject-verb agreement. I count like a handful of them. Read your text carefully and see if you can get rid of some of them. That would be good, I think. Also, I would say that your vocabulary works for you well. A couple of places you're not being that precise. I would urge you to, when you read your text before handing it in, that you consider if you're being precise enough. Imagine you're a reader who doesn't know anything about this topic, and then try and assess if your choice of words are precise enough. If you're saying what you want to say in a very concise manner. So I'm going to talk about the structure and your paragraphs. So I'm going to begin at the global level, sort of the general level of the structure. I really like that you have a title. The title is sort of the label on the can of beans that tells me what's inside the can. Go back and check that it's obvious at the end of the text why you've chosen that title. In saying so, I'm indicating, of course, that it's not completely obvious to me. One of the things that you can improve here quite easily is just to have an introduction, not to the topic itself, but before you do that, because you start off by saying, like, defining what is insurgency, what is coin operations, etc. So what type of conflict are we dealing with, and how do we deal with it? That's all good. However, you also need an introduction to how you're going to deal with this topic. So, title, check. Introduction to the text needs to be there so that I see how you arrive at the conclusion that you indicate in your title. Along the way, it's like the introduction is like a map that you give me, an overall idea of where we're going. And then along the way, you create transitions that signpost where on this journey are we at the moment. That gives you this kind of logical, coherent structure. It leads up to your conclusion. It makes me think, okay, that's why the title is the way that it is. So consider that for next time. I like that you have subheadings that creates an overview for the reader. However, I would say that when you get into, I think this is the first part of your text, you have two things that you'd like to say in regards to counterinsurgency, and then you kind of make a list. That's a no-no. Okay, no lists, no bullet points in this type of text. Other types of texts will allow for bullet points and lists. In this case, no. So just continue with the paragraphs the way that you had before. Don't change the layout. And then instead of using the digit 1, you just write out first of all, etc. Another thing about that section of the text is that the first point that you're talking about is very sort of elaborated. And then the second seems not to be really developed because it's quite short. I would revise that because it does seem a little bit like, has he thought this through? Why is the second option so short? And what you need to do basically is just to go back and look at the language and see is there anything I can do to beef this up to make it a little bit more substantial. That doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with your analysis. Just make it a little bit more balanced so that my mind or my eyes tell me immediately, okay, there's something a little bit off with the balancing of those 2 points. So don't leave your reader thinking that because it weakens your credibility. And you don't want that. You just simply need to change the layout a little bit so that it doesn't seem that way. So that's not a big issue. It's just one that you need to consider. In terms of your paragraph, moving down to a more local level in the text, in the second part, we have a lot of good paragraphs where you have very clear topic sentences. In the first part of the text, your topic sentences need to be a little bit clearer. Maybe use the template that I referred to in my first PowerPoint, that when we met the first time, where you have like the bottom line up front, where the thesis, also the topic sentence, is the first thing you hear. That could help, I think. Also think about the transitions between the paragraphs so that I always know why you're mentioning all these things. That's in particular for the second part of your text. Okay, so in summation, think about signposting all the way through so that I know what's going on in the text. Think about the transitions, and make sure that when I'm at the end of the text, I know what the message is, so that I have a completely logical idea of what your message is. If you do want to work on subject-verb agreement and you need exercises or anything, there's a lot going on online that you can use. Otherwise, come see me on Friday or drop me an email and I'll find something for you to work on if you want to. Okay, that is it for me. Thank you. See you on Friday.